So, Sonic Adventure 3. Just uttering that name brings with it a load of questions and discussion. I've talked about Sonic Adventure 3 a little bit before, but that was just as we were exiting that iffy era for the Sonic franchise, so I think there's some new stuff to talk about now that it's in a much better spot. The Sonic Adventure games are some of the most beloved entries in Sonic's gaming history, so any potential sequel would need to live up to that standard, or else it would honestly be a pretty massive disaster. Even if you personally don't care much for the adventure games, there's no denying that Adventure 1 and Adventure 2 are seen by the general gaming community as some of the better Sonic games, and a lot of Sonic fans share that same sentiment, with Adventure 1 and 2 often being some of people's favorite Sonic games. Sonic Adventure 1 in particular was a huge step for the Sonic franchise, because it was the first real 3D Sonic game that wasn't just an isometric or spin-off game. SA1 pretty much defined how 3D Sonic would play, at least for the first decade, and it introduced a ton of different aspects that became mainstays of Sonic's moveset, like the homing attack, lightspeed dash, and the stomp/bounce. Adventure 1's story was told from multiple different character perspectives, each having their own levels and gameplay styles, something that the classic games were starting to try with Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but wasn't fully realized until this game. And that's the other main thing that a lot of people remember the Adventure series for: the story. The developers of Sonic 3 and Knuckles stated that they wanted the game to have more of a story to it than previous games, but what they were able to do in that game was still pretty limited, simply due to the hardware they were working with. Sonic Adventure had no such limitations, and as such, they were able to go completely wild in terms of the story. Some of the Sonic series' deepest and earliest lore bits come from this game, and a lot of the story told here was much more in-depth than other platformers at the time. Sonic Adventure was, well, an adventure, from start to finish. That sounds super corny, but it's true. It wasn't an adventure in the way previous games were, simply going from level to level just by getting to the end of the zone, but this game had an interconnected story, with dialogue and story beats pushing you forward. It was almost like playing through a movie, not an arcade game. Sonic Adventure had full hub worlds to explore, things to do in between levels, other modes and missions to complete on your own, and reasons to replay some of these levels multiple times as the other characters because of the story. If you wanted to know what was happening, you'd need to beat every character's campaign, then finish it out with the final story. The game wasn't just a linear set of levels stringing you along, it was a journey that you set out on and completed by your own merits. Now, Sonic Adventure 2 definitely shook things up a bit, having a more linear story structure and cutting out some things like the hub worlds, but that just goes to show that the adventure formula isn't rigid. It's flexible and allows for things to be changed up, because Adventure 2 is by no means a bad game, and is often seen as the high point of the entire franchise for a lot of people. A lot of this comes from the incredible story and gameplay, with the story being told more directly than it was in SA1, and the gameplay being a lot more focused on specific characters, rather than making levels that might be played by multiple characters. Sonic and Shadow's levels here are generally a lot faster paced than in the previous game, and both the mech and treasure hunting levels feel like fully realized gameplay styles, rather than just extra inclusions like some did in SA1. In general, Adventure 2 is seen as a step up in many ways over Adventure 1, but that doesn't make Adventure 1 bad at all, because Adventure 2 is still similar, just a bit different and more focused on what it wanted to do. Now, why did I even bother bringing all of this up in a video about Sonic Adventure 3? Well, that's just to remind everyone that the adventure formula doesn't need to adhere to the exact same gameplay structure or formula that the previous game used. It still does have some things that would need to be kept in order for it to feel like an adventure game, but a more modernized hypothetical Sonic Adventure 3 shouldn't be judged solely based on whether or not it was using the exact same gameplay style as SA1 or 2. Even going from Sonic Adventure 1 to 2, half the gameplay styles were cut out so that the remaining 3 could be made bigger and better. Sonic Adventure 3 does not need to be Sonic Adventure 2 2. It can be Sonic Adventure 3, and if it's a bit different than the previous adventure games, well, that's kinda par for the course. So then, will there ever be a Sonic Adventure 3? Well, honestly, I could see it being 50-50. I know that isn't exactly a satisfying answer, but I'll explain why. Sonic Team before Frontiers in the movies was in a really bad spot with their games. Sonic Boom was a massive disaster and almost killed the franchise, then Sonic Forces came out and was also not very good.
It's been generations since I've seen you. You okay?
One very surefire way to get people interested in Sonic again though, if Frontiers or the movies hadn't been a success, would have probably been to make a Sonic Adventure 3. Because the name itself alone just has a huge amount of expectation behind it, so that could have been Sonic Team's last hurrah if they really needed to make something that they knew would be popular. But if that did end up happening, I'm not entirely sure the game would have been anything too special considering their previous track record. Luckily, that didn't happen, and now the circumstances have changed significantly. Sonic Team is in a much better spot, receiving much more support from Sega, and they've proven most recently with Frontiers and JakeCenZ that they can indeed make banger Sonic games, and in the case of Shadow Generations, ones that still have a ton of sauce and flair too. If Sonic Adventure 3 were to be made in the near future, I wouldn't be too scared of it being a potential bad game, because I actually trust that Sonic Team knows what they're doing with the blue guy now, after their rough patch in the mid to late 2010s. So while I do think that Sonic Team could make a pretty good Sonic Adventure 3, the reason I'm only 50-50 as to whether or not they'd actually do it is because do they really need to? They've revived the Sonic brand successfully without breaking open the emergency Adventure 3 glass, and now that they're in a good spot, it doesn't really seem all that necessary for them to make an Adventure 3 unless it really makes sense in the larger context of the franchise at the time that it would be made, like a movie tie-in or SA1 and 2 remakes or something. Sonic Adventure 3, like I've said, is a game that holds a lot of power for Sega because they know that regardless of whether it's good or not, it'll most likely generate a ton of sales and be a big moment for the series. So if Sonic isn't on the decline, why waste your potential biggest wildcard when it's not necessary? It's almost kind of paradoxical, since I think Sonic Team should make a Sonic Adventure 3 at their highest point, but I also could see them saving it for if the series ever hits another low point, since it's one of their biggest get out of jail free cards that they could play. It also helps that people in Sonic Team, like Iizuka, do want to make a Sonic Adventure 3, using the success of future games to potentially make it happen, but there currently aren't any plans for it. So if people in Sonic Team do want to make a Sonic Adventure 3, that at least means that it isn't out of the picture forever. The main issue though, is that it would need to be a legendary title in the series. With over 2 decades of build-up, and probably still more to come, that amount of waiting only means people's expectations get higher and higher. So if Adventure 3 wasn't universally praised, some people, maybe even people in Sonic Team themselves, would consider it wasted potential or a failure of the name Sonic Adventure 3. They'd pretty much also need to remaster or even remake the adventure games along with it, because that's a no-brainer if you really want to generate some insane hype. But it also makes sense if they were gonna make an Adventure 3, so that they could bring that adventure style into a more modern era, and so that Sonic Team could refamiliarize themselves with the adventure formula before diving headfirst into Adventure 3. Sonic Adventure 3 is a topic that I'm sure has been talked about to death over the years, and it may not ever come, or at least not anytime soon, but on the day that it does arrive, if it ever does, I truly hope that it'll be one of the greatest Sonic games of all time. The Adventure series has a lot of die-hard fans, and I think Sega definitely knows that, which is why they've been hesitant to do anything with them for the past 2 decades. So I'm sure a sequel to them is probably even more scary to them than even remastering or remaking the games, even though I really do think they should do that at some point. That's a whole different topic for another video though, one that I actually already did, so you can check it out here. And also one last thing, I know a lot of people consider things like Sonic Heroes or Sonic 06 to be Sonic Adventure 3, and while I personally don't, I can at least see where they're coming from. I do still think that if they were intended to be Sonic Adventure 3, then they'd be called Sonic Adventure 3, not Sonic Heroes or Sonic the Hedgehog, or whatever else may be considered to be Adventure 3. But I guess in the meantime, since there is no Sonic Adventure 3, those are probably the closest things to it. However, that'll change if there ever is a Sonic Adventure 3. Thanks for watching this video, don't forget to drop a like, and subscribe to the channel for more Sonic content, and I'll see you next time.